Welcome back to Tree Talk, episode 151 of myself, Jack Neville, and Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star. Another busy weekend of club football championship to look forward to, and to look back on last week's action. We have Camogie and Ladies Football to look ahead to as well, so do stay tuned.
The impression again we get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
There was obviously a couple of games last night in the Intermediate Football Championship. We'll look at them later on in the podcast. We'll start with the Senior Football Championship and start with Group 1. And this Saturday, it's going to be my own Ballysteen versus Gaelic Gaels. And as a result of Gaelic Gaels' win over St. Kieran's last weekend, both teams are through to the knockout stages prior to the game. Obviously, the winners will top the table and face second in Group 2. The losers will face the group winners in Group 2. You were at Gaelic Gaels' win over St. Kieran's, 12 points to 1-8. Gaelic Gaels started very strong. Then Kieran's came back into it, and they were leading by 2 with time running out. But 3 on the bounce from Gaelic won the game for them. And I suppose in their second year, the first game of their second year back up, Matt, a huge win for them.
A huge win, Jack. There was a palpable sense of relief in the Gaels camp immediately afterwards. I hadn't realised before the game how tense they were about the game. I saw him last year in the semi-final of the relegation battle, and I knew that there would be very, very little in it, because there was very little in it on that occasion. But St. Kieran's were that little bit more experienced last year. But the Gaels turned it around on this occasion. Now, Dara Tracy, among others, was missing from St. Kieran's. But the Gaels started off absolutely flying, and they had 4 points up on the board before St. Kieran's realised that the game was on. And St. Kieran's really didn't score until the last kick before the water break, when Anthony Mulno got a very good goal, a very, very important goal. But the Gaels had come back, and they had led by a point at half-time, but John Hayes was in great form, both from play and from frees. And you're right, on the home straight, they had nudged 2 points ahead. But Bob Giles came up with 2 points for Gaelic Gaels to level it. You sensed at this stage we were in the 67th minute of the game. Now there was a nice bit of time added on, because there was a little schmozzle at one stage in the game, and it was held up for a few minutes while that took its course. And Tom Childs caught the kick out then, and was involved a couple of times in working it up the field to Maurice O'Sullivan, and he blasted over a winning point. Now the umpire initially waved it wide, but Timmy McGrath, the referee, was absolutely adamant that it was over the bar, because he frantically waved into him to put up the white flag. I can't pass a judgment on it. It looked tight to me, but obviously Timmy McGrath had a bird's eye view of it, so we'll go by that. But Jack, in the overall context of this group, this has been a very, very, very tight group, and I have to have a certain amount of sympathy for St. Kieran's, for the simple reason that they have lost both games, and lost both games by a point. Which is very, very hard to take now, and they're into the relegation semi-final, where all 3 of the 4 of the relegation candidates are relegation contenders, or not contenders for relegation, I suppose. Relegation dodgers, or whatever you call them at this stage, are known in that Ballylanders and Galway are in there with them. But I suppose, at the outset of the I suppose before we should have prefaced everything by saying, going into this weekend, like 6 of the quarterfinalists are known. So like there's only one group where there's anything to play for, and we'll be talking about that in a minute. But Ballysteen and Galtee Gales is, for the want of a word, a dead rubber or a free pass, whatever you wish to call it. But it is I suppose all about avoiding what might be coming down the tracks in that who you might meet in the quarterfinal. But I have a sense that getting this victory under their belts, having put the whole relegation issue to bed, that Galtee Gales now will be able to express themselves and let go, and they have a game now which their future is not dependent on, and they're guaranteed a quarter final at least. So I think it's probably you'll see a different Gales this week. Now, obviously, Ballysteen had a very good win against St. Kieran's as well. Now, it was tight. I think this one is going to be equally as tight, and I'm of the mind that I'm going for a draw on it, Jack.
Draw. Yeah, obviously I'm in the Ballysteen camp, and I would never back against our own side, but just the nature of a 1-point win over Kieran's for both sides, you'll be thinking that it will be close. I fancy Ballysteen by a single point, but you rightly mentioned there with both teams through, it's probably a chance for teams to express themselves, maybe try a few things, go either way. Now you don't want to say who's going to come through to the other side, but we'll get onto Adair in the Pearshig game in a minute. But you would fancy Adair to win there, and it probably is a bit of a bonus to avoid Adair in the quarterfinal to get another game under your belt. But look, to win a county championship, you're going to have to meet the likes of Adair along the way somehow. But to call it,
Jack, when it comes to the knockout stages, you have to meet them all. You have to beat what's in front of you. Full stop.
Yeah, but there probably is that small caveat of an incentive there to top the group, and I suppose it does give a team confidence to go into a knockout stage with 2 wins as opposed to a win and a loss. So, even though both teams are through, they'll definitely, Ballysteen definitely, no doubt Galtee Gales will definitely be gunning for a win. But I'm going to say Ballysteen win by a point. You're going for a draw. You backed against Ballysteen the first round, and it went wrong. So hopefully,
and I backed against Galtee Gales in the first round. I got plenty stick. So Bob Childs will be all out to prove me wrong.
Again, yeah. Just on our predictions, this was the predictions last weekend. Obviously, we were wrong here with Kieran's and Galtee Gales. Galtee Gales obviously won. Ula na Pearshig a lot tighter. Ula with a late goal to win by a point. Badlanders, Monaleen, we both predicted Monaleen to win, but Monaleen actually had a comprehensive win at 2-11-5 against Badlanders, and then the performance of the round was obviously Father Casey's against Galbally 3-11-1-2, and we both predicted Father Casey's to win. That leaves it with 6-7 in my favour so far. Ballysteen just keeping me edging you out there for the top spot. But moving on to Group 2, when we mentioned the game, Adair and Pearshig, this is the group with something to play for. Adair obviously beat Ula in the first round fairly comprehensively. Ula looked for all the world like they were going to fall to the second successive loss against the Pearshig, but a last-minute goal got him a 1-9 to 1-8 victory. That means Adair versus the Pearshig, and Adair win has Adair topping the table. And a Pearshig win, and then we come down to points differential. An Adair or an Pearshig win will knock out Ula on my reckoning with the scores. Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yeah.
But can you see past the three times winners in the last 4 years Adair?
It's very, very hard to see it, Jack. It's very, very hard to see it. They met last year, and there was a huge margin in it between them. Albeit it was the first round, but subsequently, as you rightly pointed out, was it off air before we spoke that Adair subsequently suffered a loss to Father Casey's in the second round, and I think that they will probably be mindful of that. this year. And they won't want to slip up for a second year in a row. So in that regard, but when it comes to the head-to-head on it, it's very, very hard to see beyond Adair now. Na Piarsaigh will be competitive. They will be competitive, and it depends on how they react to the defeat by Ula. And in particular, it will depend on how they react to the circumstances of the defeat by Ula. A last-minute goal that puts them in the situation that they're in now can, have an adverse effect. But if they can get over that, if they can park that and play their own game, then I think that they can give plenty. They'll give plenty of it to Adair. But I have to go for Adair by about 5 points, Jack.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with it there by 7. But the only thing for the Piarsaigh is they really put up to Ula, and that'll be a game they rue. And also, you mentioned the teams in that relegation battle already. St. Kieran's, Galway, and Badlanders are all there. They all would have had probably thoughts of winning the competition, and now they're at the other end. So for an appear Adair safely through. From what I can tell, unless they lose by an awful lot. But it's just the relegation battle is somewhere that no team wants to go, and it'll probably give the Na Piarsaigh that small bit of a boost, but not enough.
Not enough, and were they to lose, as far as I know, the permutation is such that they will be facing St. Kieran's in the relegation semi-final, because Ballylanders and Galway are slated to meet in their semi-final. So it would mean that St. Kieran's will more likely than not be playing either Na Piarsaigh or Ula. And were Na Piarsaigh to lose on Saturday evening, and I'm tipping Adair to win, just like yourself. I think that I find it very hard to see that Na Piarsaigh can overturn Adair. Adair now it'll be the last game before the quarter final. There's going to be a 3 or 4 week gap, and they will want to go into the break and on a high. So I'm going for Adair, no question about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Adair as well. I'll go for 7. You said 5 points. Moving into Group 3, Monaleen kicked off their campaign with a 2-11 to 5-point win over your own Ballylanders last weekend to book their place in the knockout stages. Again, Claughaun and Monaleen, like Ballysteen and Galtee Gaels, not a dead rubber as such, as you want to top the table, but nothing to lose for both sides. A city derby, and probably the first time in a long time that we've had a city derby between Claughaun and Monaleen. And I imagine Claughaun will be eager to make up for lost time.
I think it's 2010.
Yeah,
was the last time that these sides met, and it was a city derby played in the east. It was played out in Carrickandlish, and it was a low-scoring city derby, 2-3 to 1-4 in favour of Monaleen, if memory serves me correctly. Monaleen, I saw Monaleen in the league final against Newcastle West. I made this point last week, and it conditioned my thinking that they'd beat Ballylanders, and I was hugely impressed by him. And now, going into the Ballylanders game, there was always the caveat for Monaleen in that they had, in recent years, a very, very poor record against Ballylanders. They had met in the 3 previous years, and Ballylanders had won all 3. Now, Ballylanders, and I'm not making excuses for Ballylanders here at this point, don't get me wrong. Ballylanders suffered the loss of their talisman, Jimmy Barry Murphy, after just 3 minutes, which was a huge loss. Now, that is not to say that was the difference. They were comprehensively beaten, and speaking to people that are there, were hugely impressed by Monaleen. Now, I saw Claughaun in the first round, who beat Ballylanders by a point. And I was very, very impressed with Claughaun, as I said to you last week. And I would put Claughaun in the same category as Galtee Gaels. Like, the monkey off their back of getting that first win was absolutely crucial. And I saw potential in the Claughaun team to drive on. They played some very, very good football. if you know what I'm trying to say, they won by a point, but it was a comfortable 1-point win, if there's such a thing. Like they could have won by more, and I don't think that Ballylanders would have legitimate arguments had Clahan won by more. No, they conjured up some very, very good moves, some put some nice passages of football together. And in a way, I think that Mona Lean will suit them. Now it's a huge city derby, and Clahan come into it. It's only 1986, as far as I remember, Jack, that Clahan won the county double, senior hurling and senior football. And they have seen very barren days since. And certainly the footballers and the hurlers to a lesser extent who reached the junior semi-final last year. But the footballers have turned the corner, and they have the sort of a team, Jack. They weren't just a team that came up through the intermediate overnight, as it were. They were battle-hardened to get out of the intermediate. They were hovering around there for a couple of years, beaten semi-finalists, beaten quarter-finalists, even a beaten finalist one year, as far as I remember. And they finally got over the line. So they are battle-hardened. I thought in the game against Ballylanders that they didn't look one bit out of place as a senior team. Physically very strong, play good, and play good football. This game is going to be very tight, but I think it might be a bridge too far for Clahan to win the second game, because I would have Mona Lean down as one of the serious contenders for outright success in this competition. And for that reason, I'm going for Mona Lean, but I'm expecting a serious performance from Clahan on it, because like Galtee Gales, and we spoke about the sense of relief that was in Galtee Gales to get the win. The same sense of relief, Jack, was in Clahan.
Yeah, it's a free shot. I'm agreeing with you there at Mona Lean. We've said it at length this year. They seem to be a team that are building, and if they can get it right, that they're definitely contenders. I have them by 4 points. Would you go that far or a bit closer?
3, I would say.
3. Now we'll see who comes on top. But we're both going for Mona Lean. But
Clahan got 3 goals against Ballylanders. They were very, very well crafted goals. The third goal in particular, which came at a crucial stage, and it gave me a sense of the resilience that's in Clahan. Ballylanders had come back from being 5 points down to draw level, and they conjured up this majestic goal, and it was some excellent play, and like it was the classical response. The classical ideal response, but not the type of response that you would expect from a team that would be under pressure to get a first win. It was very, very well crafted, a fine goal, and they got 3 good goals. So like they're capable of scoring goals.
Yeah, well, goal, if they can get enough goals, they'll beat any side. But
and capable of blocking him at the other end as well, Jack.
Yeah, a hesitant guess or a hesitant vote for Mona Lean, but it promises to be a great game, and the two teams are through anyway. But I suppose in Group 4 we have the tie of probably the group stages in the championship, and it's one that we spoke about when the draw was made. Father Casey's versus Newcastle West. Father Casey's, as I mentioned, 3-11 to 1-2 winners over Galway. Really hit the ground running. Newcastle probably had a stuttering start against Galway, but with both teams through, they'll both be looking to lay down a marker, and this is one that will get anyone excited.
It is, I suppose, not only the tie of the round, but possibly the potential to be the tie of the group stages. I saw Father Casey's, I saw Newcastle West twice already this year. I saw him in the league final, was disappointed with him. I saw him in the first round of the championship against Galway, was disappointed with him. They put themselves into a very, very comfortable position and allowed Galway creep back to within 2 points and within a shout for a penalty in the very last minute. So that isn't impressive for him. But I have a sense about Newcastle West that Newcastle West's championship bid is something that's waiting to take off. And I think there has been so much focus on this game with Father Casey's that their focus, maybe from the start of the competition, maybe lay there on the meeting with Father Casey's, because the great rivalry, great Western rivalry, the great rivalry that's there at minor and at under 21 level. Like they are two of the giants of Limerick football, particularly at the underage level. And we've seen Father Casey's. Father Casey's had a big win over Galway, and like we saw Father Casey's last year, and this unless they have got that consistency thing right, and that's a big ask. You saw last year, and you alluded to it earlier on, the way that they defeated Adair in the group stages, and then got overturned by yourselves, Ballysteen, pretty comprehensively in the quarterfinal, Jack.
Yeah.
So I'm going for Newcastle West to finally make a statement that they are around for this year's championship. I'm going for them by about 2 points.
Yeah, I have Newcastle down by 2 as well. I'm going to change that to 1. I think Newcastle's a greater experience will tell, but this is a young Father Casey side, and as we mentioned before, like if they can get their younger players through and playing like they do it at minor and 20 level, they're serious contenders. I think they'll give it to Newcastle. I think Newcastle will grind out a victory, but I don't like whoever they place in the quarter final. I think they'll go in as favourites regardless. Like they're going to play Clahan, Monleen. So the winner, Monleen, will play. Or sorry, if Monleen win, they'll play the losers that game. If Clahan win, they'll play the losers. I still think Father Casey's and Newcastle will be favoured regardless of who they face coming through.
In the quarterfinals?
Yeah.
I wouldn't totally agree with that narrative at all, Jack.
Yeah.
I've been impressed by Monleen.
Yeah. I'm sure. Look, that's down the line. That's games for us to look forward to. But just for anyone that's looking to go out and visit your local club, I know these games are tickets only. Checking on probably your club's Facebook or Twitter page. I know I'm seeing that it's just up on our Facebook page. Gaelic Gaels are the same. To get the ticket for the game, Gaelic Gaels Ballysteen on Saturday in Clahan at 7:15. All games on at 7:15. The Pierce Gadair is on Saturday in Clarina, Monley in Clahan in Caherdavin on Saturday, and Father Casey's Newcastle in Fina on Saturday. About watering games, Matt, and hopefully one of us will get a prediction right, because none of us have got the scores right yet. We've got most of, I'd say I've got 7 out of 9, you're 6 out of 9 so far. But hopefully we'll get closer to our predictions this weekend.
What saddens me about it is, Jack, I'm not saddened. What disappoints me is that there is so little riding going into the third round.
Yeah.
It's free passes, or as I said, or dead rubbers, or whatever you like to call them, but 3 out of 4, let's get back to the 2 6s as soon as we can, if we can.
Yeah, I think everyone will agree with that. It just gives teams more of a chance to know about themselves and other teams as well. But look, we'll take what we have. Moving on to intermediate championship there, we had 4 games last night. Obviously, a lot of the games weren't played because of the All-Ireland. But looking at the results last night, the standout result was in Group 1. Kildare Palace Kenry 2-14, Drum Broadford 1-13. And we probably singled out Drum as the favourites after such a long period in the senior championship. But Kildare Palace Kenry hitting the ground running, and they're straight away in as contenders after that result alone, Matt.
They are. Now, we did make the point about Kildare Palace Kenry, like that they will be trying to juggle between hurling and football and the level of crossover. But it was a significant victory for them, because they'll go into the senior championship now with a real decent chance of having put qualifying for the quarterfinals of the intermediate football to bed. I don't think they've played Cricora yet.
No, that was the first game of that group.
Yeah, and were Cricora to beat Drum Broadford at the weekend, then it would be Cricora and Kildare Palace Kenry that would go through. Now it's a huge disappointment. Obviously for Drum Broadford, because I certainly was expecting that. They've built such a great tradition over the last 20 years, Jack. That I felt that they would have enough to get over Kildimo Pallaskenry, because certainly Kildimo Pallaskenry haven't rooted up any trees since they were promoted as junior champions. But like, you always felt that there was a hardcore of very, very good footballers there, and but lurking in the background was this thing of juggling, hurling, and football. And the hurlers were on such a good run, but like the footballers have produced this performance now, and it may be good enough to get to the last 8. Now, obviously, you'd expect a response from Drum Bradford. Now, in terms of levels, like Drum Bradford and Crocora, they were poles apart last year, because Drum Bradford were competing in the senior championship, and whilst Crocora Manister were coming from nowhere, because I think very few people, maybe outside of the Crocora Manister camp, would have fancied them to win the Junior A championship last year. But win the Junior A championship they did, and here they are. Now, I think that's going to be a right cracking game. Now, the type of pressure that we spoke about, Cahan and Drum Bradford, is going to be on Crocora now, because like, this is their first game. It's their maiden outing at Premier at Intermediate Football Championship, and they will want to put down a marker, and they will want to get rid of the pressure right from the get-go of looking over their shoulders. And the map, the road map is a lot clearer for them now, in that they know win and we're through. Simple as. Whilst were they to be playing Kildare, I suppose, because Kildare Pallaskenry coming down the road, and I think that's on next Thursday night, is it?
I'll just get the fixtures up here for you now. Crocora, the 2nd of September. Is that Thursday? I'm not sure yet. I'll check here on my calendar.
It is Thursday night, yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know what you're saying. Crocora and Drum kind of know what needs to be done this weekend. Drum have to win.
Yeah.
Crocora don't have to win, but a win will send them through, and that would be huge for them in their first year back. Moving on to Group 2, last night, Mungret St. Paul's beat St. Pat's 4-9 to 2-6. Now, I'm unsure did St. Patrick's have their talisman Garrod Hegarty, but probably an expected result. Mungret now get a buy into, we'll say, round 3 of the group stages, and up next in this weekend, it is Rathkeale versus St. Pat's. It's a difficult one to call, but I still think Rathkeale are probably have the talent to play at senior level. I think Pat's probably had their chance. They're probably in a period of transition, like Rathkeale, but Rathkeale have a lot of young players coming through, and I will be tipping Rathkeale by probably 3 or 4 points to get over the line.
I agree with you there, and of course, the victory of Mungret St. Paul's doesn't entirely surprise me, because at this level, intermediate football, Mungret St. Paul's are a breakthrough waiting to happen. I think that they'd break back up into senior ranks, and they've been hovering around there like Clahan for the last couple of years, and I think the talent is there, so that wasn't a major surprise to me that they beat St. Patrick's. I agree with you totally about Rathkeale. Rathkeale, I suppose, for a couple of years there after coming down from senior, went through an element of transition, but they have an exciting young team again now, and a couple of old heads thrown in, which won't go astray with their level of experience. So I think Rathkeale are capable of condemning St. Patrick's to relegation, to avoiding relegation to the relegation playoffs, because that will be St. Patrick's fate if they lose again.
Yeah, as I said Rakiel by 4. What do you think the margin of victory will be in that one?
I think it will be tight, 3 or 4 points, I would imagine.
And just on Drum and Cricora, you never nailed your colours to that.
Well, I'm going for Drum to bounce back. You know, the stakes are so high for him. I'm going for him to bounce back and win by a couple of points.
Yeah, I have Drum by 5. I just think they're a bit too strong for Cora, and it's tough for Cora to your first game at the level is against perennial contenders in the senior championship like recent years. But look, that's the fate they have, and you wouldn't put it past Cora because they upset the odds last year. And moving on to Group 3, last night we had Ger Griffins moving into the knockout stages, 2-16 to 4 points win over Palace Green. Palace Green obviously had beaten Glyn, and Ger Griffin's got a walkover, so both of them were through beforehand. But a statement of intent by Ger Griffins, who were last year's finalists.
Certainly a statement of intent. But are we absolutely certain that it was a walkover for Gerald Griffins? Because I'm getting conflicting messages on that.
I'm 90%. I heard from people from Ger Griffins that it was a walkover, and there's no fixture down in that group this weekend.
No, there is no fixture down. So if that be the case, Griffins have topped the group on the foot of beating Palace Green very, very convincingly, because Palace Green and Glyn did play, and I as far as I remember, Palace Green won 111 to 1-5.
Yeah, I think that was the score.
Something in that ballpark, but that was a huge score by Griffins last night. And like, you must remember, Palace are not too long down from senior. And it's not too long ago, I'd say about 3 years ago, since they won a county, was it under 21A? It was a fair achievement on the part of Gerald Griffins. That was a comprehensive statement in my view. And look, Jack, we had no doubt from the start of this competition but that Gerald Griffins were bound to be contenders. And I think all they did last night was reaffirm that fact, but they reaffirmed it very forcibly.
Yeah, I think Ger Griffins are the favourites, not only contenders, are the favourites, getting to 2 successive finals. And we've seen now what Celtic Gales and Cloughan have done at the senior ranks. It just shows how close Ger Griffins are. But at the end of the day, only one team comes up. As you rightly said, Ger Griffins are into the knockout stages. In Group 4, there was a comprehensive victory for Bruff last night over Monaleen, 7-9 to 2-4. That keeps all the teams in Group 4 alive. St. Senans obviously had a big win over Bruff the first day. I think it was 3-13 to 7 points. Monaleen play St. Senans this weekend. A win for Monaleen will bring it down to points differential. They'd need a big win to overcome that Bruff loss. But I can't see anything other than St. Senans. And going straight into predictions, I have St. Senans by 12 points. And I think that's a cautious enough vote, because Bruff showed you can score goals against Monaleen's second side, and St. Senans definitely fancy a goal.
Yeah, and Monaleen, we were just wondering, you see, coming into this championship, Monaleen were a bit of an unknown quantity for the simple reason that who was committed to the senior and who was eligible for the intermediate team and what have you, because like they are the only team in the championship that are competing both at senior and intermediate level, which is huge credit to Monaleen out there. Like they won the 2019 Junior A Championship, which again is huge credit to them. And like they survived by the skin of their teeth last year in that they beat Mount Collins in the relegation final. Now, Bruff did have a big win over them in the relegation semi-final last year, and I'll tell you, it has been a difficult journey for Bruff for the last couple of years. And I think they will be so happy to get that win under their belt and to get it so comprehensively under the... Look, Jack, we always seem to think that there's always good hurlers in Bruff and all that sort of thing. But I can tell you, and I've seen over the years, there's always good footballers in Bruff as well. it's a question, can they get it together on the day? And there is a core of people out there that are very dedicated to football. And as I said, they've been dicing with relegation for the last number of years. They've been in one or two relegation finals, like this in Castlemahon through the trapdoor, I think was it in 2018, in the relegation final. And it's a huge monkey off their back to get a win. I cannot see Monaleen turning it around against St. Sinans, because St. Sinans have to be one of the contenders for the championship, Jack.
Hmm.
You know, they have to be contenders. And I'm going for Sinans by, say, 10 points, just to differ with you on the margin. But you know, I don't differ at all with you in the slightest, and that in thinking that it looks like being a comprehensive win for St. Sinans. But having said that, credit to Monaleen for fielding both sides. And I thought this year maybe I saw a number of new players on the Monaleen senior team and during the league and what have you, that maybe some of the more established players would have dropped down or whatever, you know, and that they'd have juggled them and up and down, that sort of thing. But obviously it hasn't happened, and that they are in difficulty now to preserve intermediate status. But their first task is to get over St. Sinans. I cannot see it happening. Jack, I'm emphatically going for Sinans on this one.
Yeah, both going for Sinans there again. We nearly have all the same predictions, just scores differ a small bit. I suppose looking into the junior championship, we'll just go through just the fixtures for this weekend. Cappa versus Castlemahon, Atay versus Croom, Kilteely Drumkeen versus Monaghay. There's no games Group 4 with Hospital Herbestown withdrawn. Benogue versus Drumbrodford was played during the week. Benogue now play Mungret. The Piercing versus Ballybrick and Bowermore. Feeney Kilmeady versus South Liberties, and Adair versus Camogie Rovers. I suppose after round 2 of the championship, Matt, has anyone else taken your fancy in the Premier Junior Football Championship or the Junior A Championship?
Well, at the outset, I fancied Croom, and they were comprehensively beaten by Atay in the second round last night.
They were my fancy from the start.
Yeah, they were your fancy from the start, but it is the group phase. But I think it was a very, very firm statement from Atay. They won the county intermediate league this year, which was the right way to bounce back following relegation last year, and they look well poised now this year. That was a comprehensive win over Croom. I think it was 4-15 to 111 or 3-15 to 111.
I'm not sure the result now, to be honest, Joe. But
it was decisive, Jack. It was decisive. But as I say, it's the group phase. But certainly Atay, and I still think Croom will be in the shake-up in that competition. But certainly it's advantage Atay at this stage. But that for me was the standout result so far this week in that competition. Now Banogue got a very good win earlier in the week against Drumbrodford. It was played in Knockaderry on Wednesday night, and a significant win for Banogue, because they would be in the same category that we spoke about, Galtee Gales, Clahan, Crocora, coming up, trying to find their feet at the higher level and trying to make a statement and do some consolidation. And certainly that was kind of consolidation on their part, and to get an opportunity maybe now to go on and advance to a quarter final, which would be very, very good for them now, because they've won the South Junior B Championship in 2019 and 2020, and they won the County Junior B Championship in 2019, and they were prohibited from going up because of the change in the structure in the championship. But they got that opportunity now. And it would look to me, Jack, apart from the withdrawal of Hospital Herbestown there now, which is very, very disappointing. It's very disappointing to see any team having to take that step. And Hospital Herbestown have a good tradition at junior football, and indeed at senior football level. that they would have to take that step. In fairness, we did suppose this at the very start that the county board had got it pretty well right in bringing in the Premier Junior A Football Championship alongside the Junior A Championship, and it looks from the results anyway. The results are encouraging, Jack.
Yeah, they are, and it's look, as we said, you can't get into all of these competitions early on the group stages. We'll definitely, as we approach the latter end, the business end, we'll be going more in depth. I suppose moving on to the intercounty scene, and obviously we've a full preview or review of Limerick's All Ireland win. That was posted earlier on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter pages. It's on Spotify or SoundCloud if you want to listen to myself and Matt discuss Limerick's All Ireland win, which was incredible. We gave our opinion on All Stars and compare where this Limerick side are in the annals of GAA. But I suppose moving into the ladies' football, their season came to an end at the weekend. They lost out 112 to 4 points against Wicklow in the All Ireland semi-final. They went into the game as underdogs. Started all right, but I suppose Wicklow's class really told, and they were fully deserving of their 11-point win.
Yeah, I watched back the game. Disappointing, you'd have to say. Disappointing into probably overall what is a disappointing year. Like, you know, we were in the junior championship, 5 counties taking part, and we just got in by the skin of our teeth with 4 qualifying. That in itself was probably disappointing and didn't put us in a good position going in. But there has been an acceptance right from the very start, whether rightly or wrongly, that this particular competition, this particular junior championship is Wicklow's to lose. That they've been such firm favourites, and we've come up against them twice, and come up against them at crucial stages twice, Jack. We came up against them in the opening round of the league, you know, which, like, in a league or in a league competition, what you want to do is get off to the best possible. In the first round of the group phase of the championship, the league section of the championship, and really what you want to do in those circumstances is to get off to the best possible start. And here you were, slap bang against the favourites. Now, Limerick did quite well actually that day against Wicklow. They pushed them hard for a long time, but I think on that particular day, Wicklow reaffirmed their credentials as being the team to beat, and they have done nothing since that would alter that viewpoint or alter that expectation. So really, they were up against it, and I presume Donald Ryan will probably be happy that the season is over, and that Limerick can go away and regroup. Let's hope we have a good county championship coming up, let's take it from there. Now, I was out on Friday evening to see the under 16s. They won the Munster C final against Clare. It was the second time they had played Clare in the competition. They'd played them a couple of weeks prior to it in Martinstown, and lost by a point. And they came back on this occasion, and Limerick won by 8, and really kept the best wine to last. Really on the home straight, they hit him. Caoimhe McNamara from Knockcaney got a couple of goals on the home straight, and there was no way back for Clare. But at least it was some bit of ladies football silverware for the year, and congratulations to John McNamara and his management team, which includes, of course, the one and only great John Quinn of Galtee Gales.
Yeah, well, congratulations. I suppose there was some positive news for the ladies footballers. And moving on to the Camogie, it was a disappointing weekend, like for the ladies footballers, but the junior side can take so much from that loss to Armagh. With Armagh should have been in the competition is a story for another day. But to lose out by 2 points in an epic game on Saturday evening, 3-8 to 116 loss. Pat Ryan's side were off to flyer 2-4 to 5 points. Armagh turned the screw a bit, and then Limerick hit back for another goal, and So unlucky in the end, Matt, not to get that goal they so badly needed, but a huge performance from such a young side.
Huge performance from a very, very young side. You're right, Jack. Huge performance. I watched the game back, some of it twice. Like really, really, so much positives, but a disappointing result. You're right. They're arguing whether Armagh should be in it or shouldn't be in it. They shouldn't be in it. It's quite simply. They won the All Ireland Junior Championship last year, and the object of winning a championship is that you play at the higher level the following year. So how that came to be, I don't know, but it is what it is. But certainly an awful lot of positivity to take out of it. And Limerick led. They led at half time by 2-7 to 1-7, Jack. Now, they did not score in the third quarter. Now, that was the defining period. And Ciara Donnelly, she was the Armagh centre forward. In that period, Armagh scored 6 points and she scored all 6 between frees mainly and play. But on the resumption, immediately after the resumption, after the second water break, that put Armagh 3 points up at the second water break. 113 to 2-7. LB Larkin got Limerick's first score immediately after the second water break. Limerick got a cracker of a goal from Valerie Shannon. The goal poacher supreme, but this was a bullet. Not a goalkeeper in the world would have saved it, and it put Limerick ahead. It put Limerick ahead with less than 10 minutes to go because it was one of those later water breaks that stretched to 18th, 19th minute type of thing. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, they were not able to build on it and did not score again. And Armagh just got, they just ground it out. Ciara Hill got an equaliser. And then it went into injury time, level and all to play for. But Miss Donnelly came up with a couple of points in injury time. I think she scored 12 points in all.
Yeah, 12 overall.
Which was phenomenal. And but an awful lot to chew on for Pat Ryan. An awful lot of positivities. A lot of sweet stuff to chew on there. Some very, very good performances. We got a sense of the value of Michelle Curtin. Fantastic to see her back. We saw another top-class performance from LB Larkin. Shauna Cunningham had, I thought, was very, very, very effective. Valerie Shanahan, of course, an awful lot of positives from the young side, and the defense stood up very, very well. And they were against the All Ireland champions, and like, we're not going to hug that anymore, but it is annoying. Great credit to those that prepared them. They came tantalisingly close to knocking them out, and had they knocked them out, they would have been playing Clare this weekend, who they have already beaten this year. Yeah,
that's just the way these things fall.
But without wanting to drift into what might have been, overall, good performance. The seniors finished the season on a high note with a victory, but you can say that the juniors in defeat finished the season on a high note as well, giving great optimism for the future. And there will be 3 or 4 of those players that I don't expect to see on junior ranks again. I expect to see them going up.
I was just about to say, Matt, it'll be the last we see of Sheridan in a junior jersey, but they'll be moving on to the senior ranks, and it's a good problem for the management team to look at next year.
It is absolutely.
And overall, it's probably a positive enough year for the Camogie, considering 2020 was a low point with the seniors losing all their games and the juniors not even getting a chance to play a game. So it's definitely an upward curve for Pat Ryan and the Camogie teams.
Well, sure, they were within the last puck of a ball of being in the All Ireland quarter final. That penalty in Newcastle West, very, very last minute when Laura O'Neill pucked out the ball, the final whistle was called. Wexford had won by 2 points. or a point. They were that near being in a quarter final, and I was hugely encouraged, Jack. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, in the immediate aftermath of it happening. The pressure was on them the day they went to Offaly. It was really on them. The day the way they responded that day, I was hugely encouraged. I saw a lot of good qualities in the team that day, and if with an infusion of a bit of new, fresh blood coming up through the ranks, we hopefully it will be onwards and upwards.
Yeah, onwards and upwards for Limerick Camogie, building towards better days. I suppose we were remiss of us, Matt, to finish without paying respect and I suppose tribute. We lost two in the Limerick J family during the week. Obviously, Pádraig Kennedy of Adair passed away sadly just after the All Ireland final, and PJ Garvey passed away during the week. He obviously played hurling football with Limerick. I don't know if you want to say anything about them, Matt, but from all here now, we'd pass on our sympathies and condolences to both families.
Yeah, and I suppose we'd add a third family into it, in the family of John Mulcahy, of Cappamore, the last surviving member of the 1947 National League winning team, and one of the great hurlers of his generation. I certainly would like to be associated with your remarks. Unfortunately for all three families, Pádraig Carney died immediately in the aftermath of the All Ireland final, and PJ Garvey, who I remember so well as playing minor hurling and football with Limerick, and indeed and senior with Limerick and with Hospital Herberstown, was a very serious athlete and a very, very serious player, and somebody that dedicated an awful lot of his life when he hung up his boots to the promotion of Gaelic games and helping out young players. Very, 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 very sad to hear of their passing, and I suppose it puts into perspective the whole week. Like we've seen the highs of Sunday, giving way to those low points, and to the Carney, Garvey and Mulcahy families and their extended families. I would like to concur with your expression of sympathy.
Again, just the Carney, Garvey and Mulcahy families, all sympathy extended from here, and I suppose from all in the Limerick J family. That kind of wraps up this weekend, Matt. We're finished with intercounty now for the year. It's been brilliant for the senior hurlers to get another All Ireland win. It was growth for the senior footballers, and the minor footballers got to a Munster final. The minor and under 20 hurlers got to Munster final. There was growth in the Camogie, probably disappointing for the ladies footballers, but it's been a very positive year for Limerick overall. And after many years in the wilderness, we'll take anyone we can.
We will. We had 7 trophies at the end of last year. We've won this year, isn't it? But I suppose it's the one that we wouldn't swap for any.
2 to Munster.
Oh yeah, sorry, we've 2. It'll tell you how we're gone in Limerick. We're nearly taking these things for granted now, Jack.
There's only All Ireland finals, but I suppose one thing about
All Ireland's battle, Jack.
Yeah, but I suppose even though we've had this huge success in recent years, I think the thirst and appetite from the Limerick faithful, just regards the senior hurlers, is as fever pitch as it was in 2018. There's a load of new fans in games. People, I suppose, probably maybe coming back to hurling after a while away, or new fans, and you'll take everyone, and 40,000.
We take everyone, and I see people going around with Limerick jerseys now, and they're hanging off them, and they're half on them, and everywhere, and but it's as I said, that people have just bought into the whole thing, and like the players at this stage, 5 days after it, must get a sense of what they have achieved and what it has meant to the communities around this county. You just couldn't overstate it enough, Jack, what it has meant. I've been among the communities now for the last couple of days, and as I say, I went into foreign territory yesterday, into our opponent's territory for the day, and like magnanimous as you would expect from Cork, and disappointed to be beaten, but happy that it was beaten by a team of that quality. You know, there's very, very little shame in it. And, you know, without wanting to harp back on it, you asked the question, would Kilkenny, had they won, done any better? I don't think they would.
No, I don't think so. Just you're
No,
talking there about
we're into being hypothetical now at this stage, but I don't think they honestly would. I don't think anybody in the face of that onslaught could have stood up to it.
I think I've heard it as well. I think a select 15 from around the country wouldn't have beat Limerick on Sunday, or just at a different level altogether. And before we finish, I don't know if you noticed on the screen, you might have seen it on the pitch on Sunday. There was a lovely picture of Nicky Quaid, Barry Hennessy, Graham Mulcahy, and Paul Kinnerk with their children. And I suppose the new crop of Limerick players are coming sooner rather than later.
And they're getting an earlier introduction to Croke Park than we did, Jack.
Yeah, they are.
And congratulations to the 4 lads. I think John Kiley in his post-match interview at one stage quipped that the camp was like a maternity ward at one stage. So yeah, congratulations to the 4 lads. It was a lovely shot, a lovely image, which just goes to show, Jack, life goes on outside of hurling as well.
It does, but we'll definitely take this success as we're getting it. Again, huge thanks to you, Matt. A full round of football championships to look forward to this weekend, and obviously next weekend we have the return of all those hurling heroes with the kickoff of the senior, premier, intermediate, junior hurling championship. So a really enjoyable weekend. Look forward to an exciting week next week. And as we finish, I'll play a different clip. It's a clip for the Winnicouga. Limerick GA and partners at Lions of Limerick are given a chance to win a Couga. So I'll play this promotional clip and that'll be that. So thanks a million, Matt, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, you're welcome, Jack.
Looking for your support again, folks, with our fundraiser for Winnicouga, and we want you to visit winnicouga.ie.
Oh, Finn! Come out, Tony, come out.
I didn't think that 57 inch would be made for two, Johnny. Hooks and blocks only.
Where'd you buy the ticket, Sam?
Good question, Johnny. Didn't answer that.
What kind of a car is it again, Sam?
Fordcouga.ie, isn't it?
How much are the tickets, Sam?
How much are the tickets, Sam? 20 quid, I know the answer to that. It'd be great to drive it up
Thanks to Lions of Limerick for their continued support to Limerick GA.